So obviously we put out a video Friday where we were discussing the Hudson O'Neal leaving Rocket One, our thoughts on that, and then at that point the rumors about McCreadie had started to circulate. So we kind of, I don't want to say ran with that, but we just said, okay, this seems like the direction it's going. How do we feel about McCreadie going into that ride? Do we have any other thoughts to add to what we discussed on Friday with McCreadie going to Rocket One? Does it still feel like a good fit to y'all?
Yeah, I mean, the things that we covered and the reasons on why we thought it could be McCreadie or why it would make sense, I think it's still just it's true. With the Paylors team having Ferguson come in and be their guy, they already have another filler. So and then it's like Josh was talking about how McCreadie's already got a long relationship with Rocket,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a veteran, so it does make sense for that to happen.
I think it's a good fit, or it
Yeah.
feels like it. And it just because it lets them roll on with the points situation. Did we
Yep.
ever clarify about the owner
Uh,
and driver and points with the Lucas Oil Series and how that's going to work?
I don't think it's been clarified. I mean, that's
Surely
look,
there's
there's
something in
things
place.
I
I
don't
guess it's
think
Tim McCreadie's racing for Tim McCreadie's driver points, right? So, and he can still compete for a
so.
championship.
Here's how I know that I don't think it's in their rule book. At least it wasn't in last year's, because we have our own rule book with the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series, and we looked at, we try to model ourselves after the national tours, World of Outlaws and Lucas Oil,
Right.
and we looked at their rule book specifically to come up with, what are they doing and how should we do it, for us. And one thing we didn't really consider until we read it in the World of Outlaws rule book is how they handle car owners versus drivers. It is not in I don't know this year's, but it was not in Lucas Oil's. I'm pretty sure it was last year's we were going off of rule book. There was nothing to address it, right? Who gets the show up money? Who gets the points money? Right? How do you handle it if you have a car owner
yeah.
and driver
Yeah.
split mid-season and both of them continue on? Right? Who's getting the money? Right?
That could be sticky. That could be a
Yeah.
sticky
when
situation.
we realized, when you look at it, like at first we thought, and I say we, as me and Travis Scott, our director of race day operations, he's involved in every aspect of the series side of it, right? And we kind of thought initially that you didn't really need that, right? Like, we're at the regional level, these, let's just stick with, driver's points, and like we'll
Well, you're
deal with it.
also talking about a lot of money still.
But then, yes, and then you think about it, and it's like, and actually, it was a car owner that brought it up to us. Like, well, how does that work? Because that's a lot of money. And if you think about it, you got a lot of drivers who are driving for car,
Driving.
and
Yeah.
we do. We got, if you go down the list of guys, Will Harrington is driving for a car owner on our series. Tanner
Mm-hmm.
English,
Spencer
Winger.
Hughes.
Spencer
Well,
Hughes, if he ends up
technically,
running
he's
it.
not signed up. Hey,
Hold time out.
let me back up.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
first of all, Jeffrey Gleason, we missed you, buddy. I apologize, but thank you for the 1999 the super chat there. We sure do appreciate that, Jeffrey. I apologize for missing you there until just now. Also, Sean Gillis with the $100 super sticker there, super on the live stream here. Thank you. That
Yep.
hey, lunch
Hey,
today, fellas. We can go have a
hey.
steak or something.
That is Sean's first super on a live stream ever. Really do appreciate that.
So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where, if this leads to a clarification, if we get, I mean, you probably won't get no huge announcement or nothing, but something's going to be slipped in the rule book there that clarifies, I guess. I don't
think
know.
they are reviewing what their position is on that and how it works.
Yeah.
And talking with, because I mean, it affects us, because Carson, another guy that
Carson
was gonna follow
Ferguson,
our series, who drives for a car owner, but Carson Ferguson obviously being promoted to,
Paylor's
top
number
level,
one.
Yeah.
one. He was already with them, but now he's their main driver. And in their press release, everyone just assumed it meant he was going Lucas Oil Racing, but in their press release, it said it didn't know
Yeah.
what they were going to do this year for sure. But I in talking with them, they're trying to figure out, I think they want to go Lucas Oil Racing.
Mhm.
I don't blame him. They want a car on the Lucas Oil Series, and
Right.
he wants to take the opportunity, right, if it's presented to him. But
We'd
they don't
love
know
for
if they're
him to be on the Hunt the Front series,
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
I think Jesse was kind of politicking with him
Oh,
a
yeah.
little bit on
Yeah,
that at Talladega.
Yeah,
Joshua came up in the middle of it. I was trying to chumming him up, trying to, make sure he's going to stay on tour. But, but it goes back to some of the things that Josh was talking about with, all right, so Carson Ferguson, like, he goes on tour, right? Well, now he's 5 races behind. how does that affect him and his rookie year candidate,
Yeah.
you know, or his run for rookie of the year being 5 races behind,
Right.
and the owner points, you know, I don't know. That's just kind of that's a mess. Like, how does that go for him, you know, as
Yeah.
far as
Yeah.
that goes?
Well, and
But go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it's a lot to think about as a series. As like I said, we just been through it, so that they definitely Lucas Oil wants to take their time and make sure they get it right. And
Yeah.
you do one thing and it might open up a can of worms
Yeah.
down the future if it happens a little differently, right? So
Yeah. So if this was on the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series, a situation like this, though, Tim McCreadie would still be racing for driver points. It could
Yeah.
still win. Could still, and Hudson O'Neal too. Could still either one still be the champion. Correct.
the way our series is works, our points and all that works, and it's based off the way the World of Outlaws do theirs. Is there are two separate points. This is why on the World of Outlaws you have a owner's points, driver's points, and they're not just points provisionals. You have one owner's point, driver's points provisional, and one owner's points provisional. As long as everyone stays with their same car owner all year, it really doesn't matter, right? Everything's the same,
Yeah.
right? But if you have someone split up or a car owner bringing in different drivers, you have to have two separate points standings, and it could have a situation where you have two different champions, right? And the way we do it, and again, I'm pretty sure it's the way the Outlaws do it, is you're paying is half the points fund in that situation. Half the points fund is paid out to the driver. Half the points is paid to car owner, right? And in their order. So if you have a car owner who finishes third in car owner points, but he had two different drivers, he's going to be getting third place car half the money, posted money, third place, but then he's not getting anything on the driver's side, right? And that goes to the driver, and then obviously the car owners and drivers have their own agreement of how it's split,
Right.
right? So it's really hard to think about, and it's really one of those things where we didn't think it was an issue, but then at first when we were doing the rule book, Travis and I, and then we really thought about it, and it's like, and a car owner brought it to our attention, like, what happens if my driver leaves halfway through, and
Yeah.
I don't have any provisionals, I have no reason of hiring someone else and racing with you at that
Yeah.
point, if it all stays with the driver.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, we need to think about that.
Yeah.
On the Lucas Oil side, what happens if in this scenario, if Hudson goes on and finishes top 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whoever, like could we have two separate chases, playoffs, right?
Yeah. One for the
You know what
owner
I'm
and one for
saying?
the driver.
God, that's
I feel like there's gonna definitely have to be some clarification there.
It
Yep.
is. That's why, and I am so glad that it came up and we took care of it on our end. Our series, but ahead of time. Because I just would hate to be in that situation where now it's like either you're probably going to make someone mad. You could potentially make someone mad here.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go, you don't do it like the Paylor team, right? Where they're just left out to dry if they don't get any show up money, or are excluded from the potentially the championship,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like what, like how's that fair to them? Like
Yeah.
their driver left, but they committed to run the series, was
Footing the
backing
bill.
the driver, footing the bill, and now all of a
Mhm.
sudden they're just left out to dry, right? Like, but as obviously they want to keep both Hudson, Tim McCreadie, they want to keep those guys on the series, keep them happy.
Yeah. But
So
you
I
also
think
want to
that's
keep that team on the series.
exactly,
You know what I mean?
like, yeah, and you got to protect the other car owners, right? Like, what if
Yeah.
they commit to the series and halfway through, a driver leaves them, leaves, and they're just, again, what do they do? So I think that's good luck to
There's a precedent that's about to be set here, and not even a precedent, a rule established, I guess, from this situation. Hey, David Slack, thank you for the 20. What's that? Canadian dollars? Is that what that is?
what I call it.